the pandemic hit, and I was thinking, oh my God. Hey, and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. In today's video, we are going to be showing you one of the best things that I think I've ever done, and that was surprise my mom with a brand new bathroom renovation. So in this video, I'm going to go through how I got the contractors, how I found the design, how I put a team together, and I'll be showing you tips and tricks on how to do it if you're looking at renovating your own bathroom. So stay tuned. So the first thing that I had to do was find contractors, and this wasn't very easy because we are based in the Netherlands, and as you know, they speak Dutch here. So I had to find ones that would be able to communicate with us speaking English, because it would have been very difficult to be able to explain my designs in Dutch. So I had to go onto Facebook. Facebook is a great way to find people, contractors. If it's anything, Facebook is the way to go. And so what I did was I joined a expat group, and I just typed and asked a question, and I was like, you know, who is the best contractor in the area? And the next day I had so many responses. There was phone numbers, people had DM'd me. So what I did was I reached out to a bunch of contractors, and from those lists we had some come and survey the site and give us a quote based on what they had seen or the amount of work that needed to be done. And one thing that I really noticed was that it's very important to have a range of different quotes from different people, because you need to be able to know that you're making the right choice, and you need to know that you're with the right contractor that can do exactly what you need, because you don't want a mistake happening in one of the most critical places in a house, which is the bathroom. So I had to make sure that I looked for the best contractors. So I definitely took my time in that part. So one thing that was a huge bonus was the fact that I'm an interior architect. So I already knew pretty much what I wanted in my head. I knew exactly what the process was like, so I kind of knew how to be able to communicate with the contractors. So I found that very straightforward. So what I did was I gathered all the quotes together, put them in an Excel sheet. It's very important to literally put everything on an Excel sheet because it can get quite overwhelming. So I put everything on an Excel sheet, and that really helped me understand, you know, who offers what and at what price. So that was a huge bonus and a tip for you guys if you're looking to renovate. So now that you've got a bunch of quotes from different contractors, one of the things that I had to do was make sure that whatever contractor I go with has had a history of doing bathrooms. Like, it's very important that some people that just specialize in bathrooms alone, because it's a very critical part of the home, and it's important that you get that right, especially if you're thinking about reselling the home. Those are things that people or surveyors, when you're trying to sell the home, they're gonna look at to make sure that things are in check and in order. So I had to make sure that the contractor was specifically good at doing bathrooms. So here in the Netherlands, you have specific contractors for specific places in the house. So they sort of dwell in a niche. So you have contractors just for bathrooms, you have contractors just for carpentry if that's what you want. But yeah, so specific contractors for specific things. So I found the best contractor that was able to do a good bathroom renovation. They had good reviews, and yeah, so we went with them. So now we are moving on to the next step of the project, which was now designing the space. And I did this online. I used my softwares that I use usually for interior architecture, for 3D modeling, and I was able to create a 3D model of the bathroom. I took measurements and made a 3D model on my computer, and that helped me really understand the size of the room, the scale, what materials would look best in the room. And I think that really helped also communicate with the contractors, because we were able to visually see what the project was to look like, and were able to understand what I wanted from the beginning, so it was easier to for them to start the process. So to start designing the bathroom, I had to look online for a range of different ideas. Now, Pinterest was my best friend. It was where I spent most of my time. I created so many boards. I looked at so many different types of bathrooms, ones that were black and white, ones that were really modern, ones that were traditional. I specifically looked at small bathrooms because that is what our space was. It was a really small old laundry space, so I had to make sure that I was looking for ideas that were very similar to what could actually work in my space. So once I had got all my ideas together, I drew up some architectural plans of the space that gave me an idea of how many meters per squared the space was, and this also helped me then now for the next step look for materials. Now, looking for tiles is a whole nother thing. Like, there's so many tiles in so many sizes, and I was just so confused as to which particular style or even size would fit best in the room. But a tip is, if you can get tiles that are small, it makes the room feel smaller. So if you have a small room, so that was something that I had to bear in mind. But eventually what we went with was a medium-sized tile that was not so expensive, but it was like in the mid-range, and it was so beautiful. It was like this beautiful gray marble. And a tip would be to go and see and take samples. So you go to your store or your local store that sells tiles, go in there and grab a sample, because a tile can look so different in one light and in the other, or in natural light and in dark light. So it's important to get samples, bring them home, see what they look like in the space, and then make your choice. So that's what we did. We got a bunch of different samples. We got gray, we got white. I knew I wanted to do marble, so we got a lot of different types of marble. So we brought those back home, and then I put them on the floor and looked at some of them in the natural light, and I was able to make my decision. And I went by 60 by 60 of the gray tiles on the floor, because that was a good size. It was about medium, and also any other smaller tiles had sold out. And for the walls, we went with a beautiful marble tile. When I went in the showroom and I saw this tile in the exhibition, I was like, nah, I just completely fell in love. And the beautiful thing about this tile is I'll put the specific measurements on the screen, but it literally fit exactly into our the bedroom, the bathroom space. So what that meant is that we didn't have a lot of waste material. That was one thing that I particularly did not want to have. I didn't want to have a lot of, you know, marble, beautiful marble that I wasn't going to end up using. So it fit beautifully. So the next step is to obviously reserve the tile. With this particular place that we went to, you can reserve and you can put a number down. Now I always recommend to put 10% more than you need, because you need to take account the fact that there may be some tiles that might get damaged on the way or may just break. So it's good to have way more than less. So that would be my tip, and it really did come in handy actually eventually. So now, once we had chosen our contractor, they immediately started working. So there was we had a session where they would come in and just look at the designs that I had designed, look at the 3D models, just to see what my ideas were, and how long the project would actually end up taking. And then what happened was the next week they then started the work. So there was like about 2 to 3 contractors that were working on the project. Mind you, the pandemic had not started, but it literally was just about to start like a week after that. So it was very important that we didn't have so many contractors at the beginning, but which was key, because it was going to be a new rule in the country where you can only have 2 visitors in your house. So that was very, very, very important. So now the contractors started working. They come in at exactly 8:30. And then they leave like around 5. So throughout the process, I would come in like about 3 times in a day, checking up on what they're doing. It's really important that you are able to have someone managing the project, or at least supervising or checking up on the progress, because, you know, as a designer, it's your vision, so you need to be able to know that they're really understanding that, so that if there are any mistakes, you can look at them right before it's too late. So one of the biggest parts of this project was building a plumbing system on a floor that completely did not have any plumbing system. So my mom's bathroom was on the 2nd floor of our house, and this is the loft. And traditionally, there's no bathrooms on the loft, so we had to completely build a new plumbing system, and that was very, very technically hard. We had to make sure that it connected with the plumbing system that we had already in the house. So that informed a lot of the designing. So, you know, where to place the toilet or where to place the bathtub. We only had like 2 options, because, you know, the pipe was already placed in a particular area in the house. So I didn't have too much room for designing, or options and where I could put the toilet or the bath. And the shower. So that was the most technical part. So what they had to do was drill like a massive hole for all the pipes and all the plumbing. It was so loud that we had to warn our neighbors. It's very polite to do that here in the Netherlands in advance. So we warned them, and then for that day we decided to, go out so that it wasn't too distracting, and then come back once they were done. So once that was done, I think the more glamorous part, or now the less technical part of the project, could now start. I had to make sure that I picked the specific bathtub that would fit my mom. My dad is also a tall man. He's very, very tall, so I had to make sure that I picked a bathtub that would fit him, and also I had to make sure that the shower that was going to be built, the shower head was also tall enough. So those are like particular things that you had to be very careful for. And also sometimes with bathrooms, they have to raise the floor in order to put the pipes underneath. So thankfully we didn't have to raise the floor, but if you have to raise the floor, you have to take that into account, because if you have already sockets, they're going to be lower than the average height. So you have to think about all these things. And also where the mirror was going to go. The mirror needed electricity because we had lights. So I had to think about all these things at the beginning. So once the sewage was done and the plumbing was done, we had to look for an electrical company that was to now come and install the spotlights and do the lighting for the sink, put some of the sockets for shaving. And once they had now put in the electricity, then the other parts like now plastering and tiling could start. The moment I had running water coming through the bathroom, I was so exciting. I don't know, because for me it had taken so much to actually get to that point where we're having like running water. It was a very beautiful moment. And so once now the plumbing was done, the electricity was done, we had to now book a tiler. So in the Netherlands, you have someone that specifically does tiles, and they're an expert in doing tiles. So we had already ordered tiles, and mind you, at this point, the pandemic hit. The pandemic hit, and I was thinking, oh my God, am I so thankful I did this before the pandemic started. Like, I had no idea what was even coming, but we were already at the final steps by the time the pandemic came. So yeah, we definitely were lucky. So the tiling man came. At this point, you could only have like one guest in your home, so it was fine. He just came by himself and did the tiling, and I think once that was done, like, everything now started to look put together. It was so beautiful. I literally was almost like emotional. I was like, wow, my vision came to life. And I'm so grateful for all the contractors that worked on this project. Now, once that everything was complete, I loved the design. Now was the time to surprise my mom. I was so nervous, like, you don't understand. Like, I was completely like nervous because I had no idea what her reaction would be. But as you can see in the video, if you haven't watched the video, I'll link it below. The minute she walked in there, she just became emotional, which made me emotional. I was like, oh my goodness. The work and the amount of work that it took to get it to where it was quite a lot. And I'd love to do this again, maybe for another space. So let me know in the comments which other space I should design, if I should surprise my mom again or my dad. Let me know, or someone else. Put it down in the comments. So that's it for this video, guys. I'm so happy we made it all the way to this point. I really appreciate you, and I'd love it if you could subscribe, give this video a big thumbs up, and let me know if you want me to do any other videos. Put it down in the comments, and I make videos every single week, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Bye, love you.